About 9 years ago, my brother's wife left him for another man. She was cheating on him all that time. My brother was devastated. They'd married very young. I was always against it. I had my brother in my apartment for months. He'd fallen into severe depression, and I was the one who paid for his psychologist since he didn't have any money and even lost his job because he didn't even want to move from the couch or bath. I even gave him a bath. I wasn't bothered by that. I did everything for my brother. She just left and blocked him from everywhere. She confessed to him that she'd been cheating on him for a year and that she was in love with that man. 4 years later, when my brother finally started to feel better, she reappeared in everyone's life. The typical thing had happened. She and her lover were no longer together. She'd begun to receive psychological health and change completely. She felt regretful, she was really sorry, etc. I told my brother all the time to cut off contact with her for the sake of his mental health. He didn't. I always had a bad feeling and I could smell the crap from afar. He started to justify her past actions by saying that she'd changed. They were too young, she was having problems, etc. And he got angry when I told him she was still a witch. Shortly after that, they got back together, and my brother cut off all contact with me because I didn't accept their relationship and he didn't want anyone to come between them. I told him to go away and we didn't talk anymore. Now my brother has reappeared at my house after years without him wanting to talk to me, only to tell me that his wife cheated on him again, but this time they have children. In the past, I would have let him in, hugged him and everything, but he's gone years without inviting me to meet his children. He hasn't even spoken to me to congratulate me on my marriage or on my pregnancy. I even invited him to my wedding, and he didn't come. I told him that I couldn't let him be in my house, which is true because I can't have that kind of stress. He told me that we were siblings and he needed me, but I told him that I needed him too, but he was never there and he cut me off for that woman. We had an argument and my husband ended up kicking him out because I was already crying. He's staying with our parents now, and my mother just tells me it's not the time to hold a grudge against him, and he needs me, but I can't forget how he didn't think twice before cutting off all contact with me here. Am I the idiot for not comforting my brother after his wife cheated on him again? Not the idiot. It's funny how you can't hold a grudge, but he can be mad. Relationships are a two-way street. Your brother is an idiot, and you know as soon as the ex wants back, he will dump you again. You deserve way better. Let the relatives whom he hadn't ghosted for years be the ones to look after him this time. The ones who've met his children, the ones whose weddings he actually attended, etc. Yes, exactly this. How could you even ask or wonder if you're the idiot, OP? You definitely aren't, and in fact you're a wonderful sibling and human. Be happy with your family and don't get anyone who wasn't in your shoes back then when you were doing all the heavy lifting guilt you into anything you don't feel comfortable doing. Given how he forgave the person who cheated on him after 4 years of them being separated, I'm not surprised that he's expecting his sister to welcome him back again. It's just incredibly naive and stupid, especially because he didn't even try to call first. What gets me is that OP says they have children, plural, which means it's been at least a few years since he cut her off. This wasn't some kind of impulsive decision. He's had multiple times to come see OP again, but he only showed up after learning about the cheating. He's selfish and using OP for comfort. I'm glad OP is keeping this boundary. He can stay with mommy until she gets sick of him too. I, 25 female, am married to my husband, 26 male, and we have 2 kids, aged 3 and 5. My husband's older brother, 29 male, is very successful and financially well off, but has always been distant. He rarely attends family events like Christmas or birthdays. Still, he sends extravagant gifts for our kids and his other nieces and nephews. Whenever I've met him, he's always been a big man with a serious demeanour. He's made it clear he doesn't like kids, which has been hurtful, but he still shows some care through his gifts. My mother-in-law has always favoured him, defending him even though he's not involved with the family. A couple of weeks ago at a family dinner at my mother-in-law's house, my husband, clearly frustrated, commented about his brother being a deadbeat uncle who thinks he can buy everyone off with expensive gifts instead of being present. He said this in front of everyone, including his mom and dad. My mother-in-law immediately defended her son, saying he doesn't like kids and shouldn't be judged for it. My father-in-law stayed neutral. Later, my mother-in-law told my brother-in-law what my husband said. Furious, my brother-in-law decided to stop sending gifts to our kids if we didn't appreciate his gestures. Our kids are the only ones not receiving anything from him, while their cousins still get lavish presents. It's heartbreaking to see their confusion and hurt. My husband feels guilty, but still thinks his brother is overreacting. My mother-in-law fully defends my brother-in-law, saying he's right to cut us off due to my husband's ingratitude. I confronted my husband about this, telling him how selfish and thoughtless his comments were. I explained that his outburst hurt our children and left them excluded. He was defensive at first, but eventually admitted he didn't realize the full impact of his words. I'm still really upset. I never had an issue with how his brother chose to show his affection, and now, because of my husband's outburst, our kids are missing out and feeling left out. Am I the idiot? They're just gifts, just get over it. No one is owed presents from people. The more important issue is how much of an idiot your husband is. Why did he feel the need to insult his brother, who's just living his life? And why does he assume his brother must show up and hang out with the kids? That's a fairly entitled idea. Sounds like he's jealous of his brother. Honestly, I think you're both idiots. Why is it hurtful that he doesn't like kids? No one is obligated to like or want kids. You don't even care about how your husband's words might have made his brother feel. All you care about is presents. Speaking of, your kids aren't entitled to presents from anyone, including family. You're both entitled, rude idiots. You're the parents. Buy your own lavish presents if it hurts you so much. She's trying to let us believe that toddlers and kindergartners will know that their uncle didn't send any of the gifts they get. My God, what a gold digger mentality. And what the heck is a deadbeat uncle? I don't think I even know all of my nephew and niece's names. We just aren't close. Wow, OP, both of you are. You're the idiot because, my gosh, you all aren't owed gifts. I can see why the uncle doesn't come around often. My husband Kai and I own a vacation home on Lake Michigan. We both own it technically, but it was his before we got married. This becomes relevant later. My sister Leah has used our vacation home since Kai and I started dating. We don't mind, she's always clean and courteous and leaves it better than she found it. However, she started dating her boyfriend Al about a year ago, and I can't say the same for him. Al is a total slob. He leaves dirty dishes, empty bottles, etc. everywhere and expects Leah to clean up. He has split custody of 2 young kids from his ex, who he just lets run free, expecting Leah to do the work even though they're his kids. On top of that, he's told Leah to get him a beer while she's busy, and he's watching TV a few times in front of Kai and me, so I can't imagine how he treats her when we're not around. Their house is always messy because Leah works 60 hours a week and doesn't have the time to take care of 2 small kids. Al clean and work long hours. Yet somehow I think Leah really loves Al. She looks at him like he's the only man in the world. When she talks about him, her eyes light up and her voice is sweet and melodic. That's why when Leah asked if she and Al could use the vacation home this week, I said yes. I figured what's the worst that could happen? Plus, Kai and I plan to go 3 days after them, so we'd overlap. When Kai and I arrived, the vacation house was a pigsty. It smelt like rotting food. There was a mountain of dirty dishes in the sink, the floor was sticky, and there were drawings on the walls with crayons. We got to the living room where, lo and behold, Leah was scrambling to pick up toys and Al was drinking a beer in a rocking chair. I immediately snatched the beer from his hand and asked him why he wasn't cleaning the mess he made. He asked why I assumed it was him and not Leah. I said it's because I'm not an idiot. He just chuckled and said Leah was doing the cleaning and there didn't need to be 2 people cleaning. His nonchalance really ticked me off, so I told him he and his sticky kids had an hour to pack up their things and leave before I called the cops. Al looked at Kai, and Kai was like, "What are you looking at me for? Go pack." At this point, Leah was really upset with me. She said they were looking forward to unwinding, and I'd walked in and ruined it in 5 minutes, not even considering other resolutions to the conflict. Plus, I had no claim to the house since I hadn't bought it myself. I told her there was no conflict. Al is dead weight, and that's that. As for the house, Kai owns it, and he was with me. She said if Al was leaving, she was leaving too. That night, I got a call from my mom asking why I kicked Leah out. I told her I kicked Al out and Leah followed. My mom told me I needed to be more accepting of new members of the family and that not everyone has the same living style as me. Now she's angry and Leah won't talk to me. Was I the idiot in this situation? Feels like your mom doesn't have the full picture of Al that you do. Obviously, Al is an idiot. You aren't. My unsolicited advice is that in future interactions, continue to call out Al's behaviour as unacceptable. Only act in the defence of your sister. Don't call out her bad choice of Al at all. Don't do a "why are you doing X" for him. Just call out Al's laziness. Get me a beer garners a "what, are your legs and arms broken? Not cleaning? Pick up after your kids." Wash your dirty dishes, jerk. Just continue to point out that Al is a lazy idiot who thinks he needs to be treated like he's the master of the house. I agree with this. I suggest you call out and focus on Al's bad behaviour in public. Emphasise that Al is treating your sister like a maid, and that is not what a good partner would do. You respect your sister's choices, but you will never support bad behaviour. And take pictures. That is your home, and how is it in 3 days it was trashed? Rotten smelling? Exactly, they were there for 3 days and it was already trashed and the kids were drawing on the walls? Send Mom photos of what they did to the house and tell her if she wants to accept Al's behaviour and how he treats your property, then she can jolly well come and clean up after him and put your house to rights. Very mature of her to go crying to Mommy about it and make it a family affair. Different living style, and letting your kids draw paintings on somebody else's walls is different. My husband and I, 30 and female, welcomed our second baby into the world a few weeks ago. We had initially planned to give her a name I've adored since childhood, but then my husband's sister had a baby girl and she decided to give her daughter this name. It came from nowhere because she always preferred timeless names like Elizabeth, Emily, Emma, Catherine, etc. The name she ended up going for, my favourite girl's name, is Serafina. I know a lot of people knew it was my favourite and it was our girl's name. When I was expecting our son, we'd mentioned it would be our girl's name. Even before having kids, friends and family knew that was the name I adored. But I was never fond of family members sharing the same first name. I know it happens. I know it's not the end of the world. Nobody owns a name. I also know that in some families, it's very common for relatives to have the same first name, but I personally don't love it. So after my sister-in-law had her baby, we came up with another name for our daughter. My in-laws were surprised when my sister-in-law had her daughter and announced the name. Most people had expected her daughter to be Emily because she often talked about that name. Serafina came from nowhere with her. When we announced our daughter's name, the actual name after she was born, we were asked why we'd chosen not to use Serafina, and my husband told them we had decided to go with something else during the pregnancy because we felt it was for the best. No specific reason was given, at least not that he brought up around me. But his mom, his other sister, and one of his brothers commented to his sister-in-law about it being her fault. They said it was pretty clear our change came because she used the name we intended to use. Sister-in-law fought with her mom because it was always clear I was never my sister-in-law's favourite person, and she accused her of doing it spitefully. This has come back around to me because sister-in-law has now come for me saying I should have used the name too. I shouldn't have let her get blamed for stealing a name when nobody can steal a name. I told her I never accused her of anything like that. She told me I didn't need to because the name Serafina was something everyone knew for years that I loved, and then all of a sudden I finally had a girl and used a different name, and it happened just after she decided to use the name for her daughter. I told her we're entitled to change our minds just like she is. I also told her I don't have to answer to her. She told me I created drama for no reason and there was no way the change idea came from her brother, that it was clearly me who got angry over it. She told me to get over it and there could have been 2 Serafinas. She also accidentally admitted she'd been waiting for me to confront her on the name. She caught herself before finishing and just went on about how I'd changed the name to stir crap and make her family turn on her. She also accused me of using the girls as pawns in this whole thing. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. She chose the name to stir crap. Not that she's owed an explanation, but choosing a different name because you don't want 2 cousins with the exact same name is perfectly reasonable. It was a transparent stunt that everyone saw right through. She messed about and found out. Yeah, sister-in-law is so over the top that she thought using her child as a pawn would be a good idea. Talk about playing a long game. She was waiting and waiting, and you didn't fall into her trap. How dare you? How dare you take the high road? I also advise keeping the baby away from the sister-in-law. Who knows what crap sister-in-law will pour into sweet baby's ears. I know your girl will be protected. I feel bad for Serafina. Her mom will never just say her name. She will sneer it every time. Serafina will despise her name. Sister-in-law was willing to mess over 4 people, her brother, OP, her Serafina, and OP's baby, just to be spiteful. What a sick woman. I, female 38, and my husband 39 and kids, tween male, young female, moved at around the beginning of summer. The house is mostly furnished but still has a good amount of space that will mostly go unused. I've begun decorating a room that we have no plans to use. Just minor stuff, nothing too crazy. I just wanted to use the area to indulge my hobbies. He didn't have a room at our old house, so he probably wouldn't want that now. When my husband found out, he was really angry because I didn't get permission to do that, which is weird because I'm not a child. He figured out what I was doing as I was still setting the room up, but the furniture I was using was stuff he was planning to throw away anyway. I'm talking perfectly fine couches, TVs, etc., because he wanted something new. I was just putting it to good use, so I'm not understanding why he's upset. This happened 3 days ago, and now he's being extremely immature by being intentionally distant. Am I the idiot? Info: his reaction is definitely outrageous and squarely in idiot territory, but I'm confused by your behaviour too. Do you normally not talk to each other and build your life and house together? Do you normally just operate independently of each other and hope it works out? I was going to say it sounds like they have a pretty bad relationship and don't communicate at all. Everyone's the idiot here, and you presented your story in a way that made it seem like he was annoyed you decorated a room. The actual issue is that you, without any conversation, decided he's not allowed to use one of the rooms in the house he co-owns. You decided to just decorate it and then hope he wouldn't mind it's only for your use. His use of permission and the silent treatment isn't really much better. You have children. Why can't you both act like adults and have a conversation? This whole story is just so sad. The way you tell it in the post sounds like a child or teenager sneaking into a secret retreat in her parents' house, not a grown-up person who shares a life in a house with their partner. It's just so sad to imagine what led you to that point. What makes you both think this is any way for a married couple to live? Please think about that and try to change it. You both deserve better.